channel 33, RPM.
Hey vinyl community, Frank here again. I hope everyone's had a good week. I gotta tell ya, I've had an awesome week. I picked up some vintage Sansui audio gear, including a turntable and an integrated amp. I picked up some cassettes that are gonna help fill a couple holes in that collection, and I got a really good deal on some vinyl. I'm gonna show all of this to you in a segment I'm calling Thrift, Store, Score. Thrift, Store, Score! The coolest item I picked up this week was this 45-year-old Sansui turntable in its original box. I'll show you more of this in a moment, but first I'll show you some of the cassettes and some of the records I picked up. Okay, so first of all, to fill some of the gaps in my AC/DC collection, I got Blow Up Your Video, Fly on the Wall, For Those About to Rock, and of course the classic Power Age. I got a couple really cool Kiss cassettes too on the Priceless collection. First up, Destroyer, backed up by Dynasty. Some other miscellaneous cassettes I got, Reservoir Dogs soundtrack. I have this on vinyl. I picked up the reissue last year, but I did not have the cassette. Classic from 1984, Rat, Out of the Cellar. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Texas Flood, one of my favorite guitar players. Colin James, self-titled. If you haven't heard Colin James, you gotta check him out. I wrote him off back in the 80s, sort of as a pop kind of guy, but he's actually a phenomenal blues guitar player. Colin James, check him out. And finally, Joan Jett, The Hit List. So those are the cassettes I picked up this week. They were from Goodwill. Goodwill sells them 3 for $1. At that price, you can't go wrong. I got a few records as well. These were also from Goodwill, and they go for $2. First one is Pink Floyd, The Wall. I already own a copy or two of this, but again, for $2, if I see a record I like for that price, I'm not going to say no. And actually, this one, surprisingly, was in excellent condition. The vinyl, superb, and the jacket is even really good too. There's a little bit of black ringwear there, which is not unusual for an album with a white jacket. So I was happy to get this upgrade copy. My other ones are probably, or at least one of the other ones, would be up for trade. The greatest of the Guess Who. If you're not familiar with the Guess Who, they're a phenomenal band from the 1960s. They're from my hometown of Winnipeg, Manitoba. They had tons of hits. These Eyes, Laughin', Undone, No Time, American Woman, Hand Me Down World. Great band, great compilation album. And the third album I picked up from Goodwill, again $2. I couldn't say no. I already have a couple copies of this, but it's not often you really run into Alice Cooper's School's Out. Great album, and if you haven't seen the original LP, the packaging is phenomenal. The jacket is made to look like an old school desk. There's some artwork and credits inside. And on the back are these 2 flaps where you open them up, and the jacket actually sits like a record. It was a great package, you know, you kind of miss those days where they really put a lot of thought into the packaging. And Alice Cooper and the old Alice Cooper band were famous for that. Their packaging was always great. And this one is on the Canadian pressing, and it's on the Warner's label. So while I was happy to pick this stuff up this week, my biggest find and the one I'm most happy with again is the Sansui turntable. It's from 1970. It's 45 years old. And actually, the price I paid for this one, I got it for free. I picked it up from a vet. He had this for years. He bought it brand new in the 1970s, and he kept it in the packaging. And I asked him why. And he said he was with a service, and they transferred him every few years. So he wanted to keep the record player in the original packaging, so when he moved, it was protected. And when I say original packaging, he had everything still with this, including the original warranty card that came with this in 1970, some original typewritten materials. He has the, of course, the original manual for it. And when I opened it up, you know, it's like it was like a time machine. He had it all packaged in there perfectly. It needs a new belt, obviously, for that age. The belt, the original belt he had, it's no longer going to be functional. He also had some spare cartridges in there, some spare parts. Super happy Again, this is the box it came in. I actually unpackaged it a couple days ago, but I did shoot a video of it, so check it out. Okay, it's a bit of a tight fit back here, but I really want to show you what the turntable looks like assembled. It's got the dust cover on. Surprisingly, there's not many scratches on this. It's got a really cool stand here that holds it up. I've assembled it. The platter is on here. I've powered it up. It powers up, but obviously, as I said earlier, it needs a new belt, so the platter doesn't rotate. But otherwise, everything on here seems to work fine. Just needs a little bit of work, and this turntable will be spinning again real soon. The other really cool thing I got this week is the Sansui integrated amp. It's an AU117, and about a year ago I had a Sansui AU217 and I sold it, and it was one of those purchases that you regret as soon as you sell it. So I was super happy to find this one again. The Sansui's from the 1970s and this one's from about 78 to 1980 are really highly regarded. They sound fantastic, and I picked this one up at Value Village for 10 bucks. You know, I went in there, checked out the records, I checked out the tapes and CDs. Didn't see much I wanted. As I was walking out, I walked by the electronics and saw this one sitting on the back shelf for 10 bucks. And I couldn't say no. It needs a little bit of work, just minor stuff. The pots are really scratchy. So I got a little bit of deoxide here. I'll deoxidize the pots. I got some canned air. I'll spray out some of the dust in there. And I've already removed the knobs here. We're going to get those cleaned up. And, you know, get the system really rocking again. I think the Sansui amp paired with the Sansui turntable will be a really nice fit. And I'm really excited to get these going again. So those are my thrift store finds. Again, it was an awesome week. Thank you very much for tuning in. A huge thank you to everyone who has subscribed to this channel and everyone who's commented on, liked, and shared my videos. It's much appreciated. If any of you are on Twitter, you can also find me there at channel 33 RPM. Again, that's at channel 33 RPM on Twitter. That's all I have for you today. We'll catch you again next week. In the meantime, keep on spinning.